Hello and welcome to NOBUL Racing Series number 3, the highlights for Week 2, in which drivers took on the Gauntlet Hellfire. A little bit of a tricky mistress here. This car does love to get loose on you, so much power in the rear wheels, and it did prove to be a little bit of a handful. Getting right into race 1 of 5, starting off with good old Joe here. You're seeing all the other drivers take off, making sure each one of them has space at least until turn 1. Of course, it's expected here. Turn 1 is often where you find yourself raging up into higher positions very early on, of course, but it comes at a price, sometimes causing some havoc. You're going to see Joe making his way up through the pack very easily. Both he and Silver hit the wall there, but Joe came out of it with a little bit more speed. And a lot of drivers are prone to this exact mistake right here, just powering into this tight uphill left-hander. Joe and Silver getting tangled up here, allowing one driver to pass. A few bumps continue to go around. Joe falls back, but he's going to take a really good line here. As Silver moves to the outside, Joe sneaks in and gets through that turn quite easily. There was a little bit of rubbing through there. Joe gets up into that third place and now has Samno and Mugo directly up ahead. Here's the same problematic turn. Joe playing it smart, braking early, manages to get through the wreckage there between Mugo and Samno, and that gives Joe a very easy opening into first place. At the final lap though, we see Samir catching up, and this is going to be one hell of a battle because it lasts the entire lap. The pressure from Samir, who is known to be a pretty quick driver, is really getting on Joe, and Joe's doing everything he can to continue taking his lines without smashing into Samir. These two drivers do a really good job of respecting each other's space around the vehicles. We know that it can get quite messy here with a lot of desync issues and everything, but Samir doing a good job trying not to lose Joe, manages to catch back up to him, and this is where things are going to get incredibly tight through the final sections of the track here. You can see that Samir has some great exit speed on many of these turns. The sharp right-hander carrying too much speed through there, doesn't want to hit the guardrail, gives Joe that position back very quickly, but there's only a couple of turns left in this race, and they're dragging out of that corner very, very close. The chicane up ahead can be quite problematic to some if you're not taking it at the correct angle. There's not really enough room for two cars through there either. They're coming up on the final turn before they hit the start-finish straight. Once again, Samir trying to go in for the inside. A bit of a bump there. Joe's got the exit speed and is ultimately going to be taking first place for race 1 of 5 here. Moving on to track 2, here we are with Samno, watching him battle it out with Harry, and this is one of those battles that is going to take almost the entire race here. This is the moment where we see them really catching up to each other and trading off and on. Harry going out a little bit wide, and it looks like he smacks the wall there, which holds him back, but he manages to get some decent exit speed somehow, not quite sure. Can't quite keep up with Samno down the rest of the straight before this turn. They're going to brake a little bit early to make sure that they've got enough room, especially Harry there behind doesn't want to smash into Samno. All the drivers here, you can see Joe up front, Samno in the middle, and Harry that we're riding with, each one of them seemingly getting a bit of their drifting in. That's what this car often feels like it's made for. Again, there's so much power in those rear wheels, they just come sliding out from underneath you sometimes. And up ahead, we're going to see Samno kind of fighting that problem off a little bit, but it results in massive understeer right here, going way out to the outside. Harry sneaks right on by, and Samno tries to stay on the inside for the next turn. Ultimately, battles the same problem right there again. Too much understeer, can't get through that turn, but maybe getting a bit of help here from all the bumps in the road. As you can see, slipping right back on by Harry there, and both of them taking that corner at speed. Smashing into the wall, it's always helpful. It won't blow you off the track, but it helps guide you around, but not if you approach it like this. Straight into the wall. Unfortunately, that slows him down a bit. Joe is getting away up ahead. Samno trying not to hit that wall on the right-hand side there, but both of them seem to really enjoy it on this track specifically. Harry, again with the wall on the right-hand side, allowing Samno to get by. Both drivers have to be careful not to go into the pits that are right on the left-hand side over there, and Harry checking to see who, if anyone, is behind him. It looks like he's got quite a bit of room, so it's okay to make a few little mistakes. We're on the final lap of race 2. Both drivers still going at it. You're going to see another mistake from Samno right here. A bit of oversteer and then throws it into understeer while trying to get out of it. That allows Harry to get right up alongside, and it's almost the exact same turnout here. but with a little bit less contact. And up ahead, we're going to see Samno be a little bit more cautious with this left-hander here this time. Harry once again into the wall, but Samno does get some slide in there. Now, this is where we're going to see some struggling. A bit of understeer too quick on the inside for Samno, throws Harry into the wall. Harry doesn't really know who is at fault, so he tries to wait up. Now Samno's waiting up and saying, "Go ahead, Harry, that was all me." And now the drivers are in the final stretch of the race. There's only 2 full turns left, and Samno's going to need a lot of luck here if he wants any chance at securing even 7th place. Harry does make a bit of a mistake and goes in with a bit too much speed and goes out wide. Samno tries to take advantage of this. A bit more contact here, but Harry still got the angle and the speed out of the final turn. Ultimately, Harry is going to end up in 7th, and Samno is taking 8th place. And now on to track 3, starting off with Alpha here in the reverse grid. The grids are based off of the overall points standings, and turn 1 was kind of a sight to behold because it was relatively clean. I mean, going through it a little bit slow, a little bit of trading paint, but ultimately it looks like everyone pretty much got through it. That's very rare in racing in GTA. It's probably one of the more surprising things we've seen here. I mean, there's a few bumps and everything, but it's relatively clean. We haven't seen anyone go flying, no one's gotten turned around until we get to this turn, and up ahead we see several people getting an accident, just kind of flailing all over the track. Now, that's bad for them, but great for Alpha. Manages to make up 4 positions just through that one little straight section alone. Now up ahead, Alpha has to get around Kempi and Lo-Fi as they kind of get into their own little struggle. Gets a bit of a nudge from Stefan there, which actually helps him out quite a bit. Gets him through that turn a lot faster. He's on his way to take on Sunday now. Now this is going to be sort of an easy one here for Alpha. Sunday does break a bit early and then gets a bit of oversteer as he's exiting, so Alpha just glides right on past and then has to take on Silver just up ahead through the chicane, which we had seen a few problems with the other drivers. Luckily, there are none here for Alpha and Silver. Alpha gets the job done and is moving up into 5th place to take on Samir and Chomp just up ahead. Now, we still have quite a few drivers from the front of the reverse grid making their way around. These 2 drivers, Samir and Alpha, are doing a great job catching up to and getting by them, putting a lot of pressure on Chomp right here, straight to the telephone pole, has to slow down so he doesn't smack the wall. Both Samir and Alpha move up 1 position there. A little bit of an accident at that same chicane we were talking about earlier. I believe that was Harry there. You've got Martinoli right up here. Samir making his way past. Alpha is trying to tell Martinoli, "Hey, dude, get out the way. I gotta catch Samir." Both Samir and Alpha in 1st and 2nd place, and now they have enough room to just battle it out with each other up ahead. Samir looks like he's pulling away, but he will be making a few mistakes. Alpha is a very, very consistent driver, except for right here. Both drivers go in for a bit of a deep slide. Alpha gains that traction back really quickly, manages to pull right out ahead in front of Samir on that start-finish straight with only a few laps to go. Alpha ultimately takes 1st place on track 3. On to track 4 now, riding along with Chomp in 5th place. We're already on lap 2, and you can see Cam is up there in 4th place, just ahead of Chomp. Now this is going to be an ongoing battle, and it will get slightly messy at times. A lot of this is going to be chalked up to some misunderstandings through desync issues. Now all drivers try to do their best to enter this exit ramp properly. It is quite a handful with the Gauntlet Hellfire. You get a bit of slide, you get a little bit of airtime, and it can actually really wreck you when you're entering that exit ramp. Up here, Cam experiences a bit of oversteer, allows Chomp to get right on by, and he's gonna have to do a lot to make up the room that he left there, but he does a decent job of it right here, getting some good exit speed once again through that turn. Both drivers trying to make their way around Silver, but not gonna be able to do it before this right-hander. Now this is where the bumping comes in, and what we think to be quite a bit of desync after reviewing both drivers' footage. On one person's screen, you're seeing some bumping, on the other person's screen, you're not, and it was just a huge back and forth. Chomp trying to take the inside from Cam here. Cam did leave it open, but there is, you could see a bit of contact, and right here over the median is kind of a messy choice. It did throw Chomp out, and he did smack Cam again. Chomp doing a decent job with the exit ramp this time. Both Cam and Chomp have done a good job of it. Silver is right on Chomp, putting on some pressure and a few extra bumps of his own. This of course allows Silver to grab 4th place very temporarily, as Chomp seems to be figuring this out quite a bit more, and instead of losing traction in a lot of these turns through oversteer, is doing a decent job keeping those rear wheels planted, taking them as slow as necessary, but nothing more and nothing less. You're watching Cam let off the throttle there before entering and gets another bump from Chomp. Chomp is at least attempting to stay away from Cam, but both drivers are kind of feeling the heat from one another right now. There's been a little bit of contact, and up here on this left-hander, it's going to cause some more problems. Chomp tags the inside, it sends him further out, and it sends him right into Cam. Cam is going to have to try to get back out in front, with Chomp not really giving him the time to do so. And with this hairpin coming up, you're going to see Cam getting a little aggressive, at least on Chomp's screen. And both drivers look like they're getting quite aggressive with one another, but it's the game playing tricks on them, and neither one of them knows it at this point. They got 2 more turns to make here before they hit that finish line, and Chomp's going to do a good job of catching Cam right beforehand. No sliding, no oversteer, but ultimately Cam is going to be taking that 3rd place position. Track 5, the final track of the week, riding along with Stefan as the vehicles take off from the starting line. This one is a bit narrow, and it does get quite messy. But what we're going to see throughout this entire race is Stefan making up an incredible amount of positions, having started at the very back of the grid, doing his best to get through some of these accidents that are definitely caused by other people. It looks like we got a controller disconnect or a game freeze there from Friendly on the left-hand side. It's not even been 1 full lap yet, but Stefan has managed to get up several positions and is going to make up several more in these 2 turns alone. That's right, bumping up into 9th place by the time they get out of it. And coming back in for lap 2, there's another accident up here, which is going to allow Stefan to get around many people. That's right, already up to 4th place, working his way around Harry here, but it's going to be a bit of a back and forth between the two before Stefan can actually solidify that higher position. Harry does manage to get out in front, but just up ahead, another accident. The rubbing on the wall between Martinoli and Silver slows both of them down quite a bit. So Harry and Stefan manage to get up into 1st and 2nd, but Harry doesn't stay there for very long. You see some oversteer, gets a bit sloppy, a bit of a mix-up here, and Stefan is right into the wall. Now, this is where it gets real scary. You see so many collisions behind, and you see the drivers going, what was that, 3 or 4 wide on a very narrow section of track. But Stefan does take 1st place on track 5. That leaves Joe and Samir tied for 1st place in points earned for the week. Alpha takes 2nd, and Friendly walks away with a comfortable 3rd place. It's been a very challenging but fun week. The drivers did an incredible job really taming this car. As for the overall points at the end of week 2, incredibly close race for Samir and Alpha. They are really battling it out, only 2 points separating. We're excited to see what happens, and we hope you are too. You can do so by tuning in to the rest of NOBUL Racing Series 3.